morning. I'm Mike. Welcome to my channel, View from the Shed. Beautiful day here in the Eastern Townships. It's July 1st. It's Canada Day. And this week, for the rest of the week, for the next 5 days, is going to be all about rule number 5, seeking and enhancing moments of joy. I'm heading on an epic road trip, leaving in the next few minutes, heading to Toronto to see a great old friend who's also from the townships but made it in the big time in Toronto, and we're going to play golf tomorrow. He's going to play golf and tell me how to play golf. And then later in the week, I'm meeting another townships buddy who lives in London, Ontario, and has a beautiful Ep.4 36 sailboat on Lake Huron at Bayfield, and we're going to sail it from Bayfield to Tobermory, and then do some anchorages around the North Channel until his wife meets us on Monday morning, and I head back. So we've done this many times. It's a 20-hour sail from Bayfield to Tobermory. It's often very rough. The last time I spent the entire 20 hours hanging over the rail throwing up. Hopefully that won't be the case, but it'll be a good test of my rule number 2, work on the pain threshold. So hopefully we get fair weather and fair winds, and tomorrow the weather's good for golf. And I plan to give you some updates over the course of the next few days of how that's going. In the meantime, this is a great way to celebrate winning the birth lottery uh, in Canada, and spend the next 5 days traveling around the east side of this beautiful country and celebrating our birthday. So have a great day, and stand by for some updates throughout the trip.
Surprise!
In the pursuit of joy, the moments of joy, my rule number 5, my last 2 days have been really full of joyful moments. I love the drive. I always love a road trip. From my home in Eastern Townships to the west end of Toronto here, which is Burlington, 750 kilometers. So it was a long drive, but it was beautiful conditions, not too much traffic. Uh, so Harry, I just wanted to thank you right off the bat for allowing me to spend a few minutes sharing my great friendship with you, with the folks who have subscribed and are viewing my channel. It's early days, but hopefully you're the star that takes me to the next level.
I'm not sure about that, but
I was
it's my pleasure, Mike.
I was mentioning that we both come from a farming background and somehow ended up in the big city. So maybe let's talk a little bit about your journey from Sand Hill to Toronto, the big town.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I mean, I have an interesting background similar to Mike's. Born in the Eastern Townships in Quebec. Learned to drive a tractor when I was about 6 or 7 years old, and kind of worked my way up through. And sometime between 6 years old and 16, I decided probably working the farm wasn't necessarily the best way to make a living.
To eat.
To eat, actually, to put table. So I started once I finished high school. I went into Montreal, went to Dawson College for about 2 years. And the interesting part about it, I was actually what I was learning at Dawson, I was actually implementing in the job that I was doing. So it was almost like just-in-time education, if you will.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't have been looked at that way at the time, but so that's where my career started in technology and kind of blossomed from there.
Yeah, and you and I met for the first time at a major bank here in Toronto, where you were being recruited for a senior executive position, and I was on the hiring board, and I'd only been there for about a month. And I can remember when you walked in, I thought that we got to hire this guy. First of all, he looks like the Marlboro Man, and secondly, he's a boater. So right off the bat, my criteria were met. I'm not sure if I met all the full range of bank criteria, but the personal ones were met. And I think we were talking about it today in the golf cart.
Yes,
It took about 8 or 9 months for that process to come to completion, and then you joined the bank, and we ended up being in a relationship where you were my main internal client, and we did
Yeah.
at the time the largest outsourcing deal in Canadian history. It was $2.2 billion. We were in there had been some operational crisis, and we were in a tough negotiation over SLA penalties, and and I was running out of options in the negotiation, so I pulled out my small town card,
Yeah, you did.
and I said to you, well, I'm from a small town, and where I come from, blah 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 blah, and you said I'm from a small town that's so small that the welcome to Sand Hill and the thank you for visiting Sand Hill signs are on the same post.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, Sand Hill? Are you from the townships? And it turns out
Yeah,
we were brought up about 30 kilometers, 40 kilometers from each other, and frequented the same watering holes as out of control teenagers, and had some
yeah.
common history. And then that's the beginning of a 24-year relationship.
And it was interesting because once after that, Mike and his beautiful wife asked us over for dinner, and it was Mike was always been a very engaging individual, team building, and he wanted me to be part of the team, although I was the client that was facing off against him and his people. But we had he's an amazing cook, and so we got invited over to his place, and I remember my wife talking about this ham that was so good, and I think she probably ate half of it. It was really quite
I'm
funny.
still making it.
You're probably still making it,
Yeah.
really. But anyway, from there, things kind of started from there, and we kind of hammed and egged it through our careers for quite a while after that.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of the world together. I was trying to figure out exactly where we've been. So I remember horseback riding with you and our wives in the park in Sydney, Australia.
We
That was
did
a
that.
that
Yeah,
was a big event. I remember we've been to India together.
India.
I think we went to Kuala Lumpur together. Is that possible when
Yep,
you're
we went to
working for the
Kuala Lumpur.
big insurance company? We went to look at data center space, and we've been to obviously the States. We spent a lot of time in the UK together,
A lot of time there. It
and we
was
went to Ireland about 3 years ago when I was at Deloitte.
Yeah, it was that was a lot of fun going to Ireland. That was actually an interesting week because Mike was always telling me, look, the weather here is going to be not that good, so don't we're not going for the weather. It's going just for the culture and how the Irish people live. It was the best week ever.
It was
It,
perfect,
it didn't rain one day. We got
sunny,
we got to see
and we were
some.
there in March, so it was
We were there in
kind of
March,
like
yeah,
spring, cold, but it was
yeah,
beautiful.
and we did Hong Kong too together. If
We
you
did
remember
do
that.
Hong Kong, yeah,
Yeah, that was when we were working through
big deals in Asia,
one of the big deals in
and we
Asia
did Beijing.
and Beijing.
I took you to that restaurant that served ancient Chinese food, and I think you were pining for a steak at Morton's in downtown Toronto. By the time that week was done,
Yeah, it
you'd had
was.
enough Chinese food.
Although it was interesting when as you travel and you experience, like us being both township boys, probably a big deal would be a hamburger and fries, but
With
places
sauce.
and with
We
sauce
got
with
sauce,
yeah with
a
poutine and
poutine.
sauce. But when you're traveling internationally, we weren't bashful about trying different things, even though the food might be moving on the plate, which it was a couple of times, by the way.
It was,
And then we went to the Great Wall in China, and that was amazing,
yeah.
where we got to walk up there
And it was
and check it out.
snowing.
It was
There was
snowing.
30 centimeters of snow in Beijing. We also went to Tokyo. We did
Yeah,
Tokyo together as well.
Tokyo was amazing. Absolutely, yeah. So seen a lot of the world, and like we said in Europe, and the we like I guess when I said we hammed and egged it, we've either it's interesting because in our careers we kind of found ways to work together, even though it wasn't necessarily contrived. It just seemed like the stars lined up with the moon, and that's how it worked out. And we've always had we look out for each other. We're not blood brothers, but we call each other bros, and that's how we've been living our relationship for the better part of 24 years now.
I think you and I also have one common reaction to our journeys that have been not identical but similar.
Hmm.
Um, we often stop and think, when I was sitting on the 1962 Massey Harris in the field, could I have ever imagined where I was headed?
Yeah,
How did we get here? And sometimes it's really hard to believe the things that we've seen, the things that we've done.
yeah.
Uh, Hopefully that this becomes a regular segment on my channel. If my channel survives and prospers,
Yeah,
we'll come up with some
I
topics.
have to tell the audience though is that when you first talked to me about this, I was a little
You're
skeptical.
skeptical.
I was a little skeptical, but you know something, this has legs. Mike has a very good story to tell. I think he's got some very interesting experiences that could help us all listen, kind of just listen through them and sit back and reflect and say, you know something, maybe like that could work for me today, or at least learn something
Or
that
maybe I'm
perhaps
not alone.
yeah, it's not
Maybe I'm
alone.
not alone in the challenges that present themselves along the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks
All right.
very much, Harry. So I'm on the road heading to London, Ontario to meet my friend for the trip up to Lake Huron. And I just wanted to bring the first part of this road trip to a conclusion. I had a great time in Burlington with Harry and his wife, and we went, played golf, we saw the fireworks, had some family time, had a nice breakfast this morning, and he shared some thoughts with us in a video that I made last night. Some of you might be wondering why I don't do this trip with my beautiful wife, and there's a few reasons for that. First of all, she makes her living as a real estate broker and she works all the time, so it's very difficult for her to just step away if it's not a formal vacation where she's made plans to back herself up. And secondly, she's really not crazy about road trips. I love to be out in the country, seeing people, seeing the land, and she'd rather fly there. So that's how we handled the winter vacation to Alberta. I drove and I flew her out to Calgary and picked her up and dropped her off on the way back. So the third reason is that we were planning a life of sailing in retirement. I had a big boat and it was really my life's goal. But she just didn't like it, and she just announced to me one day, I won't be living on your floating Javel bottle. So that kind of summed up her feelings about sailing. And we've gone on trips with my friend George before, and frankly she's prone to seasickness and doesn't really enjoy it. So I will find a road trip that entertains and interests her, and I will drag her along, and hopefully she'll share some anecdotes with us all. But in the meantime, I'm getting on with my great road trip to Lake Huron and a sailing adventure with my good friend George. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and part 2 will be focused on sailing.